In this training video, I will be going over the documents related to the 21-22 Program Monitoring Random Validations process that is being conducted by the Federal Program Compliance Division. The following documents will be attached to the LEA notification email: a random validation handbook that is specific to the program requirement that your LEA has been selected to participate in, and a submission packet. The Random Validation Handbook will include an introduction that provides an overview of what the document can be used for. The next section of the handbook includes the Random Validation Item alignment information. This portion of the handbook will include the ESSA statutory requirement being validated, the statutory citation and the language from the statute, the item that's referenced in the program-specific provisions and assurances, and the compliance report program compliance self-check item that corresponds to the random validation item. The next section of the handbook includes very important information. It includes a table of the types of selected documentation that are required to be submitted, and it provides a more in-detail description of acceptable documentation. LEAs should refer to this section when compiling their documentation for submission. Keep in mind that documenting overall compliance for a program requirement may require several forms of documentation to be maintained locally and available upon request by TEA and/or an auditor. To ensure overall compliance with program requirements, LEAs should refer to the program guide and/or other program-related resources that reference the multiple forms of documentation required to be maintained locally. The documentation requested for this submission during the random validation process may not include all forms of documentation that are required to be maintained locally. The handbook also includes specific instructions for completing the submission packet and instructions for uploading documentation into the ESSA Reports application. The Random Validation Handbook concludes with the Phase 1 Random Validation timeline that includes the tasks for the random validation as well as the due dates. We will now take a look at the contents of the submission packet. The submission packet includes a cover page and a checklist. This concludes the overview of the documents for the 21-22 Program Monitoring Random Validation process being conducted by the Federal Program Compliance Division at the Texas Education Agency. If you have any questions, please email them to essasupport@tea.texas.gov.